Oh, great. It's you, me, and my wife. Should be a rousing conversation.
There we go.
Hello.
Hey,
Good to see you.
good to see you.
Yeah, it is good to see those guys. I saw them earlier today on a brief call, and it was kind of nice to see you and Nick again for a little bit.
Yep. Oh, there's Bridgette. Cool.
C-130 flying over with the whole.
Hey, Bridgette. I can't hear you.
Hi.
Oh, now I can hear you. Hey.
I just got home from work and I'm hiding in the car from a house full of kids.
Okay. All right.
So
Well, okay. Well, we'll try and get you on first then.
oh, whatever. I'm excited about the whole thing. They know I have this going on tonight. So
Okay. All right. We'll get started in a couple minutes. I usually give people a couple minutes to join in.
So where's that at? So we can...
how is everybody tonight though? It's so quiet.
Yeah.
Buenos dias.
Welcome. David Brodsky, welcome. Luis, welcome. Hey, Nick, welcome. Paul, welcome. Oh, Malik's here. Welcome, Malik. Thanks for joining, guys. Dennis, there you are. Scott. Hello, everybody. John Payne is here. Welcome, John.
I'll be kind of on and off as I'm able to be on. So,
Right on, brother. No worries. We're going to get started here in just about one more minute. Nick, what are you doing? What is that? What's happening over there? Is that some kind of medical device?
You
I'm concerned
say
about
that,
your health right now.
And I have one being rolled right now too.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's see. I already got the recording started and it's 2 minutes after. So let me pull up my script and we'll just go ahead and get started here. Okay. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself by doing a brief elevator pitch like I usually do. Hey, everyone. It's David and Idle Huckins. We're with High and Tight LLC. We recently passed the minimum standards review in round 2, and we're in the early stages of starting our dispensary. We're opening up a dispensary in the Kansas City, Missouri area that will have some unique products and services, such as high-quality cannabis products and private meeting areas. According to our research, the cannabis industry produces a lot of waste, leaving customers concerned about their environmental impact. We want to solve these problems by opening up a boutique dispensary that will have the very best high-end products. We hope to offer private consultations by appointment to customers who may not want to discuss their cannabis needs on a sales floor packed with strangers. We'll provide an emphasis on catering to the needs of the elderly and our veterans. And we will have an amazing recycling program that no other dispensary has, I hope. So that's my pitch. And I hope that everybody has an elevator pitch. And during community involvement time, I would love to hear yours if you have one. So that would be great. Can I get a show of hands of anybody that's interested? Just use the reaction thing of anybody. Are you guys interested in doing a meeting next week? I know it's holiday time. Anybody interested in a meeting next week? Anyone? There's at least one person. Okay, 2. Okay, that's enough for me. We'll do a meeting next week. Dennis is not going to be here. Dennis has important holiday stuff to do. That's okay. I get it. Okay. All right. So if 2 people will benefit from this, that's enough for me. Okay, so I'm changing up a few things and I have a couple of announcements. I'm going to start trying to profit from these calls, which I haven't done so far, by asking potential vendors to share any revenue generated from sales as a direct result of these calls. So I might get a tiny percentage of those sales. So if you want to support me and these calls that I do for the community and our vendors, please consider giving any vendors or guests your business. We're not having any people like that on the call tonight, so that's not a concern today. I just am pointing that out as a change going forward in the future. Furthermore, I'm going to ask any guests that are vendors on the call to provide like a special discount for us, like the microbusiness community. So that could be a benefit that you might get from doing business with a potential vendor. Also, I'm going to start doing a podcast and possibly a Patreon account. And if that doesn't work, I'm thinking about spicing things up maybe with an OnlyFans account, whatever it takes to generate some revenue, right? I want to raise awareness about the Missouri microbusiness situation here, the social equity, and my company, of course, High and Tight, and our vendors. If you work with any of our vendors, do your own research. You know, I like to have people on that I think have a unique perspective and a possible benefit for the community, but do your research. And if you do any business with any of my vendors, I want to hear about what your experience was like. So let me know. Also, how much time do I have? Oh, I got plenty of time. My thoughts about forming a new social equity group that serves the interests of specifically of Missouri microbusiness licensees, and in general, all social equity cannabis licensees. So I have a lot of thoughts on what a group like that would look like, and I've outlined a basic structure. And I'm going to share my thoughts with that on what that looks like with you right now. So who might be in the group? Any licensee may be a member or board member of the group. Any licensee may sponsor 2 or 3 additional members that may join the group. Those people would have full rights and access to the group, with the exception of not being able to be board members. These are just thoughts. This is kind of my basic outline. All this is subject to review and speculation. Board member structure, like I said, only licensees may be board members. There should be an odd number of board members to avoid tie votes. Only one person per license may be a board member. Only one person per franchise may be a board member. We'll form a strong union through diversity and inclusion, transparency and accountability, and collaboration. We want to work with other partners to try and bring success and awareness to our community. So a general outline for goals and purpose of the group would be to serve the interests of the Missouri microbusiness community, to generate revenue that will support goal number 1, to provide resources and education opportunities for the community, to unite the community in both mind and spirit, to be able to speak with a unified voice when we talk to the state, to promote fair play and resources for social equity license winners, to operate in a nonprofit capacity. As such, any stuff that the group might produce, like videos, things like that, would be open for the public to have access to, and all board meetings would be open to public, or at least to board other members of the group. We probably have some kind of membership tier, and specific revenue generation strategies would be through fundraising events, sponsorships, and maybe doing merchandise. We'd have a strong advocacy strategy like lobbying efforts and public awareness campaigns and legal action. I think that's one thing that we would really benefit from as a community. I think that instead of reacting to what the state does, if we as a group got together and agreed on how to approach the state, it would be fun for us to see how they react to us instead of the other way around. So it would be much easier for us to do that if we had a unified voice. Okay, I've talked long enough. It's time for somebody else to speak. Our next guest is going to be Bridgette Smith. She's very passionate. I met her recently, and she has a lot of industry experience in the cannabis industry. She's currently working in Missouri. I'll let her tell you about that. She wants to talk tonight about some cannabis culture and her thoughts on the medical industry as it's operating in Missouri. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Bridgette.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. What you were saying just a moment ago, I completely agree as far as um, us all having a voice together and really setting up a platform whenever it comes to micro businesses. We are, most of us, a lot of us are the little people coming into it, and that's how they had the license wrote up was just for that. But it doesn't make it easy for us because a lot of us having single owner licenses at the moment, it makes it hard because we don't have the capital to go and build these compliant buildings to get these cultivations up and going. Money being one thing. Some people even applied on a whim and got these licenses and now they're in a situation where they don't have the industry experience, they don't have the cultivation experience as a craft cultivator to come in and all of this play a part together in this delicate ecosystem in order to make it as an industry, a micro industry. Being in the medical industry, my very first dispensary I worked at as a bud tender, I worked a lot with the patients, and it was like a mom and pop shop. We weren't a corporate like Good Day Farms or like Codes and all these big dispensaries. We were small. We had events. We had a relationship with the patient. And I think that's what's important and what the direction and the culture medical should have gone, and not corporate like they did. It makes it harder to be able to touch those lives and help those lives that need it the most. Some of them to save their lives. With that being said, there is a whole other side of the cannabis industry, and that's towards the grassroots side. And if you guys aren't familiar, the grassroots side of the industry are black market. I guess you could say not completely black market, caregivers, the people that have been growing their entire lives. They have dedicated their entire lives to this wonderful plant. They have the cultivating the experience. They have the medical care experience, because whether we like it or not, the people that consume marijuana, whether they realize it or not, are consuming on a medical term. Even if it's coming home from a hard day from work and smoking a joint to decompress and relax, it is still a way to medically relieve that stress. And so I think as a micro, I think we can touch those lives of the patients that were let down by these corporation medical dispensaries who didn't give them the information, who made medicine that they couldn't afford on a regular basis. I know a lot of people who need 3 grams of RSO or FICO a day to survive and live a little bit longer with cancer, but they can't go into a medical dispensary and do that. If we can combine the grassroots and the micro industry together, it will be enough voices. It will be us, the patients, working with patients, and that can completely knock out medical. We can really do big things, and the way to do it is through the patients. And I think it's a great path leading to big things, big success, big changes, and reestablishing the cannabis culture.
When I spoke to you earlier, you were speaking a little bit about cannabis culture, early cannabis culture.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So long time ago, 1950s, 1970s, the story's kind of hazy. I'll have to get my facts completely straight on it. But there was a lady, this African lady who lived in New York, and I think her name was Molly Brown, and she was known for selling pot brownies medicinally. And all these people she would make these pot brownies to. All these drug dealers who had all this weed would donate weed to Molly Brown, and she would make these pot brownies and she would donate them throughout the neighborhoods in New York to help people medically, people with cancer, people with chronic pain and chronic depression. And all the cops kind of looked the other way because she wasn't out there hustling drugs or trying to make a dollar. She was purely donating her time and her efforts to make these pot brownies for people's grandparents and parents, sick parents and relatives. Finally, one day it got to the point where she ended up, the cops couldn't look the other way anymore. She got in trouble, and it was either the prosecuting attorney or the judge she went in front of, and it turned out he was familiar with Miss Molly Brown because she had helped out his grandmother making these pot brownies. And that prosecuting attorney judge ended up looking the other way and saying, well, she's just making brownies. I see nothing wrong with brownies. And it's a really cool story of what it used to be. It was kids going in and smoking weed, which I know we don't all agree on, but I mean, it was friendships. It was going to people's houses. It was sitting together and smoking and laughing with your friends. It was having a bad day or dealing with depression and being able to smoke and be able to take on one more day, one day at a time. And it needs to be that same support. Being able to call a friend because you're out of weed and you've had the worst day, and your friend saying, come on over and smoke. It's smoking concentrate for the first time and not knowing what a nail is, and having a friend who heats up the nail with their torch, and so you can hit it and not know you're taking a hit until you go to exhale and you can finally taste the weed, and then you're left choking and coughing for 5 minutes. There's people that want to go into industries, but they don't feel comfortable, whether it's for medical reasons, whether it's because they're too nervous, their anxiety is too high to go into these types of situations where they wished they had a friend. And if we can be that kind of friend, the way medical should have been, where people feel comfortable going in and seeking help and it being a family environment. And because it is just a plant, it's just a weed. And I think having that extra help and that friendliness to bring people in would make people more comfortable. And again, that plays in with the grassroots side. The culture of taking care of each other and the community.
You know, something I'm passionate about, I mentioned it in my elevator pitch, is catering to needs of veterans,
Absolutely.
with a lot of veterans suffer with PTSD. And then we spoke today, and we touched on this a little bit about, how, first of all, you got to have the medicine available, right? You got to have the right medicine that somebody's looking for. That's a problem. You go in a lot of these dispensaries and they got a lot of product in there. A lot of it's not CBD or medicinal type product. More of it's a recreational type stuff. That's kind of the focus, right?
Right.
So you can even have a hard time finding it. So when you do find a place that might have something that could cater to your needs, or a dispensary that can point you to another dispensary that has something, hopefully there would be that kind of cooperation. How do you even talk to somebody when they come in and say, hey, I have PTSD? What cures that? How do you talk to that person?
And there needs to be people that can handle those situations, that can step off one-to-one with somebody and say, hey, you're good to talk to me. Tell me what you're going through. What are you looking for relief from? What is it? How can we help you most? Do you want to talk in private? Do you want to go for a walk? Let's go for a walk. I mean, I think catering to the patient is what is most important in this situation. And if we are on a micro side where we can be more one-on-one with people, because we don't have, 250 plant cultivation is not a big cultivation by any means whenever it comes to the cannabis industry. But if we can focus it down more specifically to exact people's needs and center it down to, there's certain strains that have specific purpose whenever it comes to certain medical needs. I mean, for example, Black Swan can help with very, very particular types of cancer. Purple Sunset is great for the heart. Like, there are some strains that are just classics that touch people in a special way. Craft weed, all weed is special in its own way, between outdoor grows to live soil to hydro to nutrients and stuff like that. But strains go further. And I think class strain specific for specific needs can really hit that market hard. And then to take those house strains, bring them even back from back in the day. The grassroots side, there are people that have seed banks that have these classic genetics that they don't want to just hand over to medical and corporations, because that's not the culture. We can take these classic strains and these old medicinal strains and offer them up as like house specials. So then cultivators who come in, who are maybe caregivers and could really use that strain, and selling clones of these strains. So not only are we able to provide it to people that don't have time to cultivate, people who don't have caregivers, but offer that option and that opportunity up to cultivators of those people to be able to continue that medical and that medicinal value and need to patients that the medical sure isn't offering and can't offer.
One thing, I say that way too much when I'm talking. I gotta stop. That's a terrible habit. So one thing you said that kind of resonated with me, that might resonate with veterans, and this has been a concern of mine, is to have a private consultation area. A veteran might not be too comfortable going into a box with only one exit in it. You know, that's what a veteran, that's how a veteran sees. When I go into a room, I'm looking for exits, you know, and ways out. And, you know, I view the world in a totally weird way. So a veteran might not be comfortable in that kind of a situation. So going for a walk is a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be good. You know, maybe they don't want to talk on a sales floor, like I said, packed with strangers, or being trapped in a box either. That might not put them at ease either. So that going for a walk is a good idea. Have you done that before?
I have.
Yeah. Nice.
And one thing that I really liked about when we would have big events, we would have music, we would have vendors and not just medical vendors, but we would also have like craft vendors, and we had one lady that would come up and just sell pies. Like, we had all kinds of different vendors that would come to these events. But being able to leave the dispensary and then go and walk amongst the patients and be able to talk to them on a just normal conversation with another person, that one time with people, and not even just as a patient, but just as a person, and get to know them more. And it lets them open up to you more about things that they are dealing with in your life that you may know that can help somebody with that, but you may not know that they have it, and they might not tell you that they have it. But it's only that smoking with a person to really get somebody to open up, and to where you can really get in there deep and really find out what can help them to make their life more fulfilling.
Very good. I think what else do we talk about that you want to cover? I think that was.
Oh gosh, there was so much.
A little bit. How about that? Grassroots. You want to talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so the grassroots side of things is the people that have been consuming secretly in their basement all their lives. It is the people that are cultivators for a long time in their closets, who, once things became medical and license and medical license and patient license and home cultivation license were available, that they took it upon themselves in this beautiful hobby that they have and put it to some use. They were able to cultivate for veterans and PTSD and cancer patients and different things like this, and help more specific needs that people need that the medical industry wasn't provide. Like I said, those cancer patients that have softball-sized tumors and have to have 3 grams of RSO a day in order to survive, and we're given 3 weeks to live, but now we're on a year and a half. And if they go 3 weeks without it, that now dime-sized tumor grows right back into that softball-sized tumor, and they're back in a wheelchair, throwing up and incontinent and blood and everything else. And it's those 3 grams a day can save somebody's life. But 3 grams a day is $300 to $150 to $300 a day for somebody to just live. And whenever you have caregivers that are doing this for a hobby, just for the simple fact that they enjoy to grow and they can help somebody else out, that can save somebody's life. I mean, and just because somebody enjoys doing it, we are saving lives because people enjoy it. Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we reach out to those patients? And there are people out there in the community that do that. Like, it's not a trend that you would try to start up. It's already happening. And then the grassroots side is also those medical patients that are needing this help, that have nowhere else to turn, that dispensaries have let them down medical, and understandably, because they do have a business to run, but a lot of dispensaries won't even get them in touch with possible caregivers, because in the dispensary's eye, that's lost business to me. Well, they can't afford to go to you, so they go to the black market. So that's where I'm saying that micro can really be a good middleman between black market and medical. If we play our cards right, boy, we can take all of the business. We can take it from the black market because we aren't as expensive as medical, but then again, we can take it from medical and we can take it from the black market because they're able to buy it legally. I mean, and then we're able to connect people with cultivators and teach people how to cultivate and offer these clones and offer so much that it builds that patient loyalty because you had their back whenever and supported them and their medical needs when nobody else would. So I think the grassroots, it's really spoke big to me. I've got to see so many lives changed because of this. I definitely would love to see the two somehow get combined and be able to get together and help everybody.
I think that you hit on something that's important, which is community involvement. I think that having educational things going on, in my dispensary or events where you can teach people how to roll a joint or, how does cannabis work? What's CBD? Why would I even consider doing that? What's that about? What kind of medical benefits there might be, and that sort of thing. People need to know about those kind of things. So, and, sometimes people are afraid to ask, but they'll get on a call where they can kind of watch anonymously, and learn. Or right. Attend an event, and meet some other like-minded people. Those are great ways to get community involvement going.
Absolutely.
We also talked a bit, I don't know if you want to talk about this, you might not want to share it, but a little bit about how you thought that Missouri failed the medical community. We spoke a little bit about that. Would you, you don't have to if you're not comfortable. Would you... sharing a little bit about that? Just your thoughts, your opinion.
I don't want to get too deep into it because whenever it comes down to it, I love helping people. Cannabis has played a big role in my life. It has always been there for me whenever I needed it. I am still currently in the medical industry because I still do get to touch those lives, and the patient care is such a passion of mine that I will continue to touch as many lives as I can and help as many people as I can with as much knowledge as I can obtain over the amount of time that I'm able to. whenever I talk about the medical industry letting down patients, the opportunity for medicine to be a lot cheaper for patients is there. It's just whether or not people want to allow patients to have medicine they can afford. If this industry is such a big industry and it does help people in so many ways that no matter how cheap you sell it, you will still make money. And that's what's cool about marijuana. I mean, you can use that damn plant from the seed to the flower to the fibers that hold that damn thing together. So there are so many outlets to make money that we have an opportunity to do, that the prices on the medicine shouldn't be as high as they are. And I think it's wrong that that people have to choose their life, and it doesn't just go for the cannabis industry. It goes a lot further than that, in my view. But I am in the cannabis side of things, and that's where my real passion lies. I think that, without saying too much, I think micro can do better. And I think we can be there financially for people and them turn around and show us their loyalty to us and take care of us financially just as well, and us be able to do just as well as the medical side in a cheaper way,
Well,
less expensive way.
I can tell you that I just want to mention this, and then I'll turn it over to the group if anybody has any questions for Bridgette. I'm sure she'd love to be grilled.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of interest and resonance in, I don't know if there's a lot, but there is some in what you're saying. I've had conversations with people who are interested in partnering with me, growers that are interested in partnering with me as a dispensary that would also like to provide, a 3-month supply of FICO or something like that for customers. And, those are people that I really want to partner with, people that are doing stuff like that. So that resonates
Absolutely.
with me, for sure. And I think that resonates with a lot of people in the community. So if anybody would like to ask a question, I'm going to turn it over for a question and answer session. Please raise your hand. This is your chance to ask Miss Bridgette a lot of questions about anything you like related to cannabis.
I'm full of answers.
All right. Okay. Well, I think if anybody does have questions, there'll still be a community involvement time at the end of the call. Bridgette, you're welcome to hang out. Please do so if you like. We'll try to get to that in about 30 minutes. There I go with the ums again. Now we're having Jack and Nick on they have an interesting story to tell about the microbusiness arena in Minnesota. I met these two chuckleheads at the MJ BizCon. Was it 2 weeks ago now? It seems like forever ago now.
Yeah,
It seems like,
right. Yeah, 2 weeks now.
yeah. And we connected and we were trying to spend as much time together, but these guys were interested in hanging out on the cultivation side, and I was interested in hanging out on the retail side, and they were on opposite ends of this huge convention center. But we did manage to hang out quite a bit. We got to know each other. They seem like a couple of good guys, and I'm going to let them talk to you about what's going on. Can you guys talk to me a little bit first about maybe how you got started there, how you found out about the program, and how you got involved in the social equity program there?
Well, I guess so originally before Jack and I met, I was going to cultivate and join a business with his nephew Nick. And so, but Nick had more ideas on the retail side of things, so that kind of fell away. And so basically me and Jack met through Nick, and Jack is actually the veteran of us, and so basically he was able to apply for the social equity round.
So yeah, there's different ways that you can join here in Missouri. Different. That's how I got
Okay.
in on the program through a disabled veteran. That was my end. A lot of other people are getting in Missouri through different means, such as I think poverty. Being in a poverty area in a zip code. That's one way that people get in, or they went to a school that's not an accredited U.S. school. So there's different ways to get in. So tell me I think things have changed, right? The way the social equity program operates in Minnesota. Didn't it just they drop a bombshell on you guys a week ago about how it changes? Can you talk a little bit about how it was working, how it was set up to work, and then now this recent change and how that's going to affect the way things are going to work for you guys going forward? Because I'm a little bit hazy on that. Maybe you can clear it up for me.
Yeah, so basically what the original plan is that they had first you had a round where they basically made sure you were a social equity application went through, so they had to make a background check, make sure that you know had either a past conviction of a cannabis related or you were in the military. So they had a round for that first, and then after that they would pretty much look at all of our applications once we were accepted as social equity applicants. So then you applied for it, put in your application, and I think the deadline was August 12th.
Yep.
And so after that, we waited till they said it would probably be about fall when they got back to all of us. But then fall came around and they said, well, now it will be the first of the year. So we kind of waited on that. And then all of a sudden, what was it? 2/3 of the applicants got denial letters, basically saying, sorry, your application was denied. But there was no explanation. There was no way to know what happened with that. And so basically, people are pissed. Obviously, they should be. They worked hard on this application, and all of a sudden now you're telling us that it's not good, denied, but we're not going to tell you a reason why. But sorry, better next on the second round. So what happened was a lot of people lawyered up, and a lawsuit was filed. And the day before the social equity lottery was supposed to commence, they basically halted it. And so now that was what was supposed to happen, but now it's halted because of the lawsuits. Jack
Muted.
or David, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Is that related to the change that just happened like a week ago? That article that I was reading about?
Yeah, so now what happens, so after the judge halted the application, we didn't hear from them for about 3 weeks. And this past week, they decided now they're not going to have what they call a pre-approval round or a pre-approval part of it. So basically, they're not going to. I guess I'm kind of confused on what they mean by a pre-approval. Jack, do you really know what that really means?
No, I thought it had to do with the social equity, but I don't. It's a little confusing too. There's some of the stuff they put out is so ambiguous that you have to kind of read between the lines, So
Is there good communication between the state and you guys?
Absolutely not.
no, not
That's
even.
unfortunate. And you said too also that your application was quite expensive, wasn't it?
Actually-
Yeah, a lot of the licenses that I heard people were paying were, up towards of $30,000. So
Wow.
these could get pretty expensive if you're not doing them by yourself. And
So-
our
I can see
application
how-
process is pretty difficult.
I could see how a social equity licensee would be pretty upset with applying for a license and thinking, that they applied legitimately and then getting a letter of denial with no explanation.
Right. And the fact
I
that they
can
were
see that.
supposed to, by law, send out deficiency letters, meaning if your application was there was something missing, you know, you forgot information, or they needed more information, you know, or something was wrong with it where they, you know, couldn't accept your application, they were supposed to give out deficiency notices for you to be able to fix that problem, and they did not
Right.
do that, or they started to, and then all
Yeah,
of a sudden, for a lot of people, they didn't.
You know,
it ended up being too much work, so they stopped doing it. So
it kind of sounds almost like how the lottery was working here in the round one. I mean, things weren't really going all that well, and then they made some changes, and they got a little bit better in round two. And it sounds like they're getting ready to make some more changes to try and make things better in round three. But that's just rumor and hearsay. I don't know anything about that officially yet. But so does it kind of feel that way to you? Like the state kind of launched this before they were really ready to follow through on what they were trying to promise?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Someone on the
I can see I'd
inside.
be frustrated.
Yeah. So someone on the inside told me that at one point they had. She said, I think she said 30 employees looking at a little over 1,800 applications. And for some reason, said they were called on, basically saying on Fridays you had to come in to the office. You couldn't work from home on Fridays. We needed you in. Well, half of them quit. So now you got 15 people working on over 1,800 applications.
So your process sounds like it works a little bit differently from us. I'm confused. So if you submit an application and you're an eligible applicant, are you supposedly you get a license? Or is there a lottery process that you have to
So
go
there
through
was,
also?
so that's what they were supposed to do in the round one that was
Okay.
originally planned.
Okay.
So I think they were giving out. So we applied for a micro business license, and they were going to afford to give out 100 first round applications for the social equity round. And then I'm not exactly sure the numbers for the retail and, you know, all the other ones, but I think it was 257 licenses total, I think, out of 1,800 applications, about a little over 1,800. So originally there was going to be a lottery, but now, since they're going to be pushing us, okay, so basically what happened was so the last week they accepted the fact that they're going to be late on everything, you know, opening up for the retail side because of this debacle we've been having in Minnesota. So the lawsuits. So now they are going to put us all in one round with the social equity and the regular applicants, the general public. After we were able to fix our license, that were the licenses that got denied, they're going to let them fix that in February. So once that, and then you can reapply for this new round that they're going to do with social equity and the general public all in one round in May or June. There's something around that time they're going to think about. Hopefully May or June. Hopefully it's not going to be longer. But with our license is a micro business license. So the second round originally was going to be uncapped, meaning that basically as long as your application came in and they accepted it, you're pretty much going to get a license, I would assume. That was what uncapped means, not a specific number of licenses that they're going to give out. There's just whatever, I guess. So that's what they're going to do now. So instead of having a lottery for our license, since it's uncapped, we just get a license, I guess. Is that what you understand, Jack?
That's how I read it. Yep.
That's fascinating, interesting. It's yeah. And fortunately for us, we have like representatives of the state that are assigned to us that we can reach out to if we have questions, and they reach out to us if they need stuff from us. So each one of us licensees has our own and each representative might have, I don't know, 5 clients or something like that. I don't know how they're working it, but so it's easy for us to communicate with the state. We have a lot of open avenues to communicate with the state. I can see how that would be super frustrating, especially you're just kind of operating in the dark. So did you guys get you applied in the round one? Is that correct?
Yes, social equity round, correct.
Okay, so are you guys? Did you guys get one of those letters that denied you your application or whatever it was?
Yes, we did. We were
Oh,
part of that 2/3. Yep.
okay, wow. So you guys are involved in that lawsuit then. Any
We were.
idea how long that's gonna take to
Well, so
flesh
that's
out?
basically with that lawsuit caused this first round to now be put into one round.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
basically that's the farthest the lawsuit's going to go, I guess. That's what
Hmm.
I'm told.
Best of luck to you, gentlemen. I hope everything works out. I did see somebody had a question. Tony, you there, brother?
Yeah, that was an accident.
Oh, okay. No worries. So I guess nobody has anything they want to ask you. I'm just kidding. We got more time to talk. So is there anything else you guys want to tell us about your social equity program there?
So we do
Quad.
we do have a couple other things working against us. So the OCM itself, they have, I think their staffing is they have a lot of well, they don't have a good environment there, put it that way, right? Where people are leaving and whatnot, but also the person that's in charge of it, she's an interim, so she really didn't have
She's
much
not even
skin in the
invested.
game. Right.
Yeah, she's not even invested, basically.
Yeah. And the other thing is what we found out is that there was a large company that somehow took 200 applicants, and they I don't know, I guess they pulled them together or whatever, and they offered them, I think it was something like $100,000 if they got a license or something like that. I'm not, hope I'm not making this up, but I heard something similar to that, where they took 200. So 200 of the applicants in OCM's mind were shenanigans, they call it, right? So then they just grouped everyone. We were grouped as part of the shenanigans group, even though we weren't. I mean, some of the stories we've heard is that one person, their application, they got denied because they submitted their driver's license and it was a little blurry, and they kicked it back and they were denied. I mean, that's talk about that's shenanigans on their side, right?
Yeah, ours was denied basically because a check mark of a checkbox wasn't checked.
Yeah, on our cap sheet.
Yep, on our
wow.
cap sheet.
But they didn't give you a chance to rectify that problem, though, either.
No, which they were supposed to by law.
Right.
And that's where the lawsuits happened.
Well, I think here in Missouri, it was kind of similar. Round one, they didn't have a lot of people working, and they hired a bunch of new people for this round two. And even my state representative, I've reached out to him several times, and he's like, "Hey, I don't know a lot of this stuff. I'm learning. Please be patient with me." And I said, "Well, I'm learning too. Please be patient with me."
Well, at least we have someone, though.
Yeah. And if I need an answer and he doesn't know, he can go talk to somebody and find out, and he'll get back to me. So they're very responsive. I have no complaints in that department.
They didn't respond to when we got the denial letters. They didn't. What, Jack? It was almost a week before they responded to us.
Yep. I think I sent them like 2 or 3 responses, and I never heard anything until they didn't really even answer my question. It was just, we just got that blanket email.
Yeah. It was basically left for interpretation.
Yeah.
Now, another thing that I thought was interesting that was different between, and mostly this is because, if there was a dispensary person there, I could probably find interesting comparisons between our programs. But one thing that's different between us and you is that our wholesale, we're calling them wholesale facilities, our grow facilities, are able to only have 250 flowering plants at a time. What kind of restrictions are you working within there as far as that kind of a flowering plants or whatever?
So our micro business license, we are capped out at 5,000 square feet of plant canopy, flower canopy.
Oh, you poor baby. That sounds terrible.
Yeah, right? I did the math. So basically, if I was able to give each plant 3 square feet per row, like away from each other, so 3 square footage per plant, with the 5,000 square feet plant canopy, we can fit almost over 2,000 plants.
Oh, that's terrible. That's way too many. I totally object to that program.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the upside with the micro business license. That really, honestly, for $500 to apply it and get the license, it's a lot of plants. I mean,
sure.
because I can easily have that square footage cut in half to 1.5 foot square foot per plant, and easily could fit almost 4,000 plants, and that's in a single tier. If I wanted to
And-
double stack it, that could be even more.
And we can
Wait,
open a dispensary as well. One dispensary.
Yeah. Yep, we can have our one dispensary, and we can manufacture. So we could do solvents, extractions. We can do edibles. I mean, hell, I think we can make our own sodas and drinks, THC drinks, if we want to, in our own
But you have to
place.
be a resident to get in on the lottery there, right? Oh, you don't? Oh, wow.
Nope, they
so
open
I
that
need
up
to-
at the very end.
Okay, well, I need to find out more about this process, and everybody on this call will now want to be your friends. I got flamed on the internet today, guys. Flamed, and this guy flamed me all day long. I went into a Kansas, Missouri cannabis room. I was just like a new member of this group, and I was like, "Hey, I'm a micro guy. I'm from Kansas. I'm opening up in Missouri." And this guy's like, "You're not a resident of Missouri," and he just hated on me all day long because I was not a Missouri resident. All day long, all day.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to hear that, David.
Well,
Too nice of a guy.
it's part of the job. It's part of the job. When you're a public figure, you got to deal with stuff like that. I love the haters, though. Actually, I do. I love it. I feed on that energy. Looks like we got a call. Our question from the community. My best friend Keegan Kimbrough has a question. What's up, Keegan?
I just wanted to state that I'm working with 15 square foot per plant in my grow.
Really?
That's how I guess that's kind of how we compete here, by having bigger plants, to get a bigger
Massive.
canopy.
I want Christmas trees.
Well, that's outdoor, right?
I'm going to do a mixed, but yes.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
A lot of people here are trying to grow outdoors. That's a cheaper way to get started, for one thing.
course.
Micro grows. We
Sunlight's
don't have
free.
these big resources. That resonates with people. But there's a lot of challenges in Missouri with humidity, a lot of mold problems and stuff like that. So it can be challenging to grow successfully outdoors here.
Sure. Yeah, we have. I mean, the summers in Minnesota are very hot and very humid. So really, ideally, growing outside is not favorable at all.
I hear that you grow some amazing weed. Will you tell us about your amazing weed?
I mean, it's all right. I'm humble. I'm a humble guy.
You're so humble now. Wow. No, I'm serious. Can you tell us a little about your growing method and how you grow and your experience growing? And if you don't mind, what exactly nutrients do you use and what quantities and when do you add them? I'm just kidding. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know you do live soil, right? Is that correct?
Living soil? Yes, correct.
Living soil, right? Yeah.
So I mainly do organic living soil. I use dry amendments from Royal Gold. If you don't know, Royal Gold is a company in Humboldt County, California. I use Guy Green as well as another good company for dry amendments. They also make soil too. This run actually is my first run ever in cocoa as well. And it's crushing it. I like it. I love the growing in cocoa so far. It's to me it's pretty easy. I mean, as long as your water, your pH levels are correct, your EC levels correct. I mean, honestly, I've had no deficiencies in my plants, no nothing. So it's been a really easy run so far. I can show you one of my tents if you would like, David.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's see. I'll turn it to presentation mode.
And while he's doing that, he is being
All right.
extremely humble.
Trying to think, how do I switch over? See here. Oh, here. There we go.
Is my mic on, David?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mute everybody. Mute your
We
mic.
definitely
Maybe he'll
heard
be the
the zipper.
presenter.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that he's had compliments from people that have been growing for 20, 30, 40 plus years. So he's being extremely humble. I mean, they've claimed that it's some of the best weed they've ever seen, smelt, or tasted, or whatever.
I don't know about that, Jack.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is a couple of plants. I got 3 tents. This is one of mine. Honestly, this is Humboldt County's Humboldt Seed Company
I don't
blueberry
think I
muffin.
can't see anything.
Is that a sativa?
No, actually, so blueberry muffin is a dominant indica, but this pheno is showing traits as a sativa plant. But it's mainly an 80-20% indica, which is crazy because yeah, this strain's been around for a long time, and they got it pretty stable. So to see a sativa leaning plant is pretty cool to see. But yeah, it definitely smells like blueberries. I can't believe it. This is probably one of the plants that I've been growing that the terps actually smell what they say they smell like. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy.
Looks
Oh,
good.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I live in Kansas, so I can't legally grow. I'm waiting to move to the more legally friendly state of Missouri, where I can't wait to start growing some aquaponic marijuana. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us about that the fish tank story. How's that work again?
Yeah.
Because it's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, it kind of works. It's a closed loop system. It kind of works like hydroponics, if you think about it that way. So you got gravel beds, and that's where you put at least that's the way I did it. You can do it different ways. And those are ebb and flow tanks, right? So those will fill up and then drain and fill up and drain. And that's where your marijuana plants are placed. And it's just gravel, right? And then you got a big tank of fish, and the fish do their business in the water. And then some bacteria breaks that business down into nitrites, and then some other bacteria breaks that down into nitrates, which the plants can then use as a fertilizer or as a nutrient. And the plants are pretty happy about that. The plants clean the water for the fish, and the fish fertilize the water for the plants. So it has to be completely all organic. If you put any herbicides or pesticides on it, it'll kill the fish. And if the fish die, the whole system dies. So it's a pretty cool organic way to grow. I don't know anybody that's successfully grown any marijuana in it, but I'm sure people do. I just don't know them. Now, I have never grown marijuana in it. I have had this set up in my backyard. It was just a garden. I grew some amazing cucumbers and cantaloupes.
Same thing, man. It's the same process. So.
Right, sure, yeah. The only thing that I had to add to the system, just as a matter of, well, there were a couple things. I had to add eggshells to provide some calcium, and I also had to add some iron, chelated iron, which is
chelated iron. Yep.
Yeah, which is not a plant the nutrients actually use, but the plants can't absorb nutrients if there isn't this iron in the water. So every now and then you'll see the plants start to get a little bit yellow, and you add a little bit of that in, and they just come back to life. It's pretty cool.
Right. Sure. Yeah. That is pretty cool, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty cool. You know, my mom will tell you. She thinks I'm awesome. Does anybody have any questions for our amazing guest? I thought that was very informative. I learned a lot.
I hope that I explained it well. Enough to understand.
Well enough for me to understand that I need to get in on the next round of lotteries there. So yeah, wow, that's a huge canopy. I'm so jealous of you guys. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the micro business, so there's a mezzo license as well. That would be like a step above ours. So the mezzo license can have up to 3 stores, and they can have up to 15,000 square feet of plant canopy.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
For comparison, Flora Farms is 11,000 square feet.
Oh. Huge.
Flora Farms is more like 90,000 square feet of flowering canopy.
Per license. Sorry.
30,000 per license. They have 3 licenses for a total of 90,000.
Oh wow.
Oh, thank you for chiming in, David. By the way, David posted a link in the chat with some useful information, some reports. And I think that your information about 30% of marijuana businesses are profitable aligns with the talk that I heard. I forget the lady's name at the MJ Unpacked. I think she said 26 or 28%. I mean, so that's right in that same area. That's kind of scary when you think about it. Only like I'm reading this here where 30% of marijuana businesses are profitable. That's kind of scary. That's terrifying.
I think it's a lot of those are probably the ones that, hired a lot of, investors. I feel like a lot of the ones that, hired a lot of investors for the, profit, their big grows that they wanted, they didn't scale down and work their way up. A lot of people make that mistake. I feel like if you try scaling down, work with your means without investors, I feel like, and if you have really, really good product, the product will speak for itself. I mean, no one's buying shit weed. That's just, unless you're really, really desperate. You're going to pay what you pay for.
Yeah, that's a problem. I just don't even want to buy from dispensaries in Missouri anymore. I've had too many bad experiences. Even buying like their best stuff sometimes is super disappointing. I bought some top shelf stuff a couple times and I actually vomited later when I got after smoking it.
I actually don't go to dispensaries anymore. I know
I wouldn't if I didn't have
this
to.
conversation before, but
Yeah.
I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone should grow their own, to be honest. But I mean, as you know, people just have different personalities, and some people just don't have the time, the means to do it. It's just more convenient to go to the dispensary. So I mean, it works in favor for people that are in the business. But I mean, there are
And
ways to,
some people just have brown thumbs too. They seem to like do
That's
everything right and their plants just die.
I've seen a lot of things on Facebook that I'm on, like Minnesota, like cannabis forums, whatnot, and people will be showing pictures of their plants or whatever, and some of the stuff I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? So I get some people don't have a green thumb, and some people do, some people don't, but I feel like if you do your research enough, and the research along with the experience, you'll dial it in eventually. Muted, David.
I think if people also need mentorship, a lot of times.
Right.
I think a lot of people also confuse, and with the 250 plant count, I think a lot of ways that we are able to compete is by saying that we have craft cannabis. But I don't really think that a lot of the community really understands what craft cannabis is.
Sure.
Unfortunately. Hopefully we'll all have amazing product when it's time to launch. We have 2 grow facilities here that have been commenced and no dispensaries yet. So if there was a facility dispensed, I think that there was one trying to get asking for commencement in this month. And they could operate, but is there going to be enough product for them to be open? We don't know yet. So that whatever happens within that arena will be interesting. In the next few months, we'll see how that plays out. I think a lot of grow facilities here are trying to get operational by, beginning of spring, midsummer here. So hopefully,
I honestly also, David, I feel like once federal legalization comes around, I think that 30% number will increase, because then you're finally going to be able to get your products elsewhere rather than just in your state. Since you can't really dispense your cannabis through state lines.
Then
That's true. It will change.
Grows in Missouri.
I'm sorry, David, say that again, please.
I said, then what happens to all the grows in Missouri if we're all selling weed from out of state? So I don't know that that's necessarily going to make anything better. But
That's impossible versus the Constitution of Missouri.
I mean,
And you
federal
can sell in
legalization
other
is
states.
it's going to happen
You
eventually.
cannot sell. You cannot sell cannabis from another state in Missouri. Period.
Correct.
Hey,
You
Yeah.
can.
They're not the
Well,
legalization.
there
rate,
is
it's-
there is a loophole to that. If you go to a company in California and they grow your genetics there and they white label it and put your label on it, yes, you technically can sell in other states.
Okay.
That's from my attorney who is in Washington. It was her idea for us to look into doing that.
Who's your attorney?
Heidi Uranus.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any more conversation about that? Let me open it up now for community involvement time. So, hey, Nick and Jack, I understand that you have a very important football game
Yep.
that you might want to attend. So
Go
I
Vikings.
understand
Let's go.
if you want to drop off. You know, I'm sorry the
Ru-
Chiefs are going to smash them, but you know, whatever.
Before I kick off, David, if anyone wants to follow us on Instagram, it's
Oh,
just at Vigorous Farms and Instagram.
And I sent your email, or I sent that out to everybody in the email.
Oh,
And I'll
well,
send
thanks,
out it
David.
again after the call too, so that everybody will have your contact information.
Yeah,
YouTube,
I would like to chit chat
whatever.
with anyone. You know, if you want to send me a message, chit chat about anything, man, about anything about cannabis. I'm totally down for that.
We'll definitely have you on the call again in the future when there's any updates, just to kind of see how things are going for you guys and what's happening in
absolutely.
Minnesota. We're all interested in the social equity program. And I'm thinking about building this social equity club, you know, and I kind of think maybe opening it up to people from out of the side of the state of Missouri might be a good idea too. So, you know, if you guys wanted to join, we'd just make it a national club.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
So, yeah, stay tuned for that. And if you guys need to drop off, it's cool. I get it. Does anybody have any last minute questions before they watch their team try to win?
That's right. Hey,
Sure.
David, I did have some questions for Bridgette, and I would like to try and connect with her some other time or outside of here or whatever, because she's totally in my wheelhouse as far as the helping
Right on.
from a patient
Beautiful.
type perspective.
Awesome.
So.
I love it when those kind of networking connections happen on these calls. I'm going to start opening the call up too for people just to come back. Like a lot of times I don't, like in vendors, I don't invite them back because I don't want this to be like a sales meeting for vendors. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think for other guests, I'm going to try starting inviting everybody back. You know, if you have an interest in speaking to the group or hearing what's going on, I don't see a problem with that.
All right.
Cool.
So, any last minute questions for these two handsome gentlemen that want to? Who's your team? I don't know anything about football, guys. Seriously, who are the?
I'm a hockey guy. I'm a hockey guy, so the Wild's my team. I watch football when they're good, I guess. You call me one of those fans.
Well, we are 11-2 right now, Vikings. So.
Oh, nice.
If I don't watch them, they win. That's what it seems like it happens. If I don't watch them, they win. If I watch them, they lose. So.
All right. Well,
oh, he's a reverse luck barometer. Nice. Okay. Well, you can stay on the call then if you want.
All right. I'm on a jet.
Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining. We appreciate you.
See you. Nice
See you guys.
Thank you. Okay. So community involvement time. Did anybody have anything specific that they wanted to bring to the table? Anything at all? I'm still open to people sometimes I know people are reluctant to talk in a group. So you can text me. Everybody should have my phone number. If there's something you want me to bring up on your behalf, I'd be happy to bring it up for you, or you can email me or whatever. I'm happy to talk about that. Yeah, David, what's going on, brother? What you got?
I'd really like as a group to discuss this idea of forming another micro association. I have some pretty big concerns about that. I've seen that happen in other states, and it's usually very divisive and counterproductive. And doesn't really work out for anybody. So I'd like to discuss the motivation behind that, and what maybe the current micro association isn't meeting or is doing that you're concerned about. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Love to talk about that. I think that nobody might be interested, but I've heard a lot of people offline say that they're interested in a group that caters more to the Missouri, specifically to the Missouri microbusiness license holders. Some people are suspicious of the Missouri Microbusiness Association because of the involvement and the different people that are in the group. So people have come to me offline and said that they may be interested in seeing some other kind of group serve the community. And if they're telling me the truth, we're going to have a meeting this Wednesday at 7:00 to discuss that. If anybody wants to show up and talk about what a new meeting group might look like, we'll get together and talk about it then.
Is this a secret meeting, like your secret squirrel meetings?
Everybody that's invited to this call will be invited to be there. So I'll use the same contact list for this call to be on the Wednesday call. We can open it up for conversation and talk about what everybody people might just be blowing smoke. People do that sometimes. People just talk to me offline. I'm curious to see if anybody will even show up at this meeting. Are people really interested in having something else like that or not? I see Monster Farms has a question. What you got?
Yeah, David. So mine's for David. I think what the biggest concern that the micro companies have is they put together the whole board and everything with what the I don't remember their initials. What is it? MMBA. And I mean, we're just not part of it. So this second round group, we're just kind of like, hey, this is a group, join, and it just doesn't seem like it's really set up for us, and it's and productive. We've tried working with a couple of people from that group, over things like SOPs. They say, we hear a lot of people say, "Oh, well, we'll help, and we're here to, give you advice and help and da 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 da," and then you don't hear shit from them. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're here to help." But then when you're like asking for help, they're like, well, and I'm not going to name any names, but there's one person on there that said, yeah, we'll help you with your SOPs. We've not heard from that person in like 2 months. And it's like, F it. If they're not going to help us and we're not going to, if you're not going to help with us, then why would we want to stick around with that group? Why not just create our own little subdivision of group of people that are actually willing to help?
I can speak to that. I'm the person that you've been working with on the SOPs. I had a family emergency come up where I am moving my entire family from my house and renovating a property to be closer to my business. That's why I sent that email out that I was taking a break until January. I have about 15 of them already written. I just haven't had the opportunity to sit down and put them up yet.
I'm not bashing you, Samantha, at all. It just
you kind of are.
We are on a timeline. We don't have the luxury of doing it at this pace of whatever works for everybody else. Each dispensary and each grow is going to work on their own timeline, and if we feel like we can get plants harvested or plants in the ground and harvested sooner than later, then it's in our best interest to move that timeline as quickly as possible and not delay.
I understand. I'm around 1, so I'm on the timeline of having to be completed by October. You guys are around too, so I understand you are coming up as well. Those SOPs are just important as me to complete them as it is for everybody else. Like I said, I don't have any spare time at the moment to complete those at the moment, but at the beginning of the year, I have no problem sitting down and getting those all put up. I can't leave my family homeless. It is my priority to get these things accomplished. But I am one person, and
But
if other people want
from
to
what I
join,
understand, you're
Hey
not just one
guys, let
person.
me pop in
You're
for just
you're a
a
whole
second.
group.
Nobody's asking. I hope nobody's trying to ask you to justify what you're doing,
Yeah,
and I
and
hope nobody feels attacked on my calls, because that's not what we're doing here. We're all
and
trying to talk to each other respectfully. So I hope nobody
it's
feels that way.
it's you guys are supposed to be like a group. From what we were understanding, is there's a whole organization of you guys. It's not just Samantha. There you have a whole. From what I understand, you have a whole board. And so
It's
what
not
I'm
lost on the community that the Missouri Microbusiness Association really wasn't doing anything until I started having these calls. And now it looks like you're copying my format exactly. That's also not lost on the community. Here, one person that doesn't have an association or board is seeming like I'm getting more done than this whole. People are suspicious about what you guys are doing. You guys have all these members and all these boards. What are you doing?
Why didn't you run for the board, David? You and Monster Farms. I mean, you both could have run. You get those emails.
I didn't want to run.
Yeah, I
I had
thought
no
about long and
I
hard about it,
I
but
had
I
no desire to
decided
be on a
that
board.
maybe building something else was a better thing for the community. And I don't want anybody to feel like this is something that's like in competition with any other group. I would hope that you guys would feel like this is something that will enhance what's currently going on. I
well,
hope
then
we
why
can,
don't you work with
if this
us
does come to
to
fruition and we
build
do
something
form
to
a
work
group,
together?
I would hope that we would work together, you know?
Then why don't you just work with what's already established rather than creating something separate? I do feel round two, you were absolutely welcome. We established the board ahead of time because we were round one. Even before we had our mandatory meeting, we all sat down, we networked. We felt that it was really important that we have our own unified voice. We've been heavily working on bylaws and getting started and voting people in and getting everything situated. So that way, when we came forward to everybody, that we were an established association and not put the cart before the horse. As far as copying your format, we were already planning on doing informal, knowledgeable phone calls. They are not sales calls. We don't profit from them. We never intend to profit from them. It is a not-for-profit. We don't charge memberships because we are here for everyone. We are not here to make money. We are here to drive this industry forward. And it is important to us that we present things that do that. I am working with the state actually, and getting things for people that will be on the drive for everybody to have access to. We're also working on the MOCAN lobbying days, having everybody get together and have talking points that we all agree on and set out and come forward with, so we can all go in there prepared for what we as a community want to talk about. We haven't had an opportunity to really bring all the things, but we have had the
Wow.
micro village at
Okay.
MOCAN. We had a table at MJ Unpacked. We have the knowledgeable phone calls.
Okay, we got some questions. Monster Farms. Somebody, Luis, what do you got, Luis?
It's more like a comment rather than a question. I mean, I feel like as a community, we need to really get together. I feel like we're dividing everything out. Not really sure how, all this drama and whatnot. We really need to just, I mean, round one, we have not much time to get up and running. I know, I mean, other people want to get everything handed to them, or not even handed to them, sorry for the wrong word. I mean, get help to get everything kind of figured out. But we need to, I feel like on my side, we need to really stop attacking each other and really figure it out. And really, as a group, even though we might like each other, we might not like each other, sit down and have a mutual camaraderie and us figure out a way to become successful rather than keep the shit going. I'm not sure how to really make a sense or anything else, but I mean,
And I agree with that completely.
Okay,
hold on, please. Please raise your hand if you want to talk. Luis is talking right now.
I mean, and like I said, it's like for me, we have on round one, and we have until October to really get up and running. I mean, and really anybody. I mean, I'm willing to help you, but there's times like that right now I want to get my stuff up and running. You know what I mean? And sometimes I cannot be on these calls because I have something else going, my business, my personal life. But at the end of the day, I just want to see us, every single one of us, be successful on this community, because if I'm successful, you guys are successful and helping each other out. We just need to get together and figure out a way to work together without really having all this drama and letting this go. How, I'm not sure. We probably need to brainstorm, but it's just, like I said, something that I keep just seeing a pattern of it, and we need to stop. We need to figure out a way to work together.
Well, I think that forming a group whose members feel like they're not welcome to participate in the other group will only benefit the community. I think I can only see ways that would organize and benefit the community. Well, Monster Farms, what do you have?
Yeah, so with the other group, and this is, maybe it was just the bad timing of it, but like they held an event on a Wednesday, I think it was, during the middle of the week, and we got notified of it like an hour before. And we have jobs, and even if we didn't have jobs, maybe we would have been working on our facility. An hour's notice is it could have been just bad timing, but that wasn't enough time for us to even figure out if we could make it down to, it was in Springfield. Wasn't even enough time to see if we could even make it to the event. And it kind of like, at that point, it was like, well, it didn't feel like, like we were wanted, like maybe we were just the afterthought. Oh, hey, we better send them an invite because, XYZ.
Keegan, what do you got?
Chris, I am so sorry. There was probably like 15 emails about that email or about that meeting here in Springfield. Listening to that was hard.
Well, I'm not here to discuss that with you. Shelly and I both didn't see anything on it until an hour before.
I don't want this to be turned into a bashing thing about where people are complaining about how other people are doing things. I really want this to be more about what this could be and how we can benefit from this going forward. I understand David asked a question and we're trying to answer that question, but I don't really want this to devolve into something unpleasant. Samantha, what do you got?
I would like to add that I don't know why your email didn't go out until late. Everyone else I spoke to said that they got them. There were multiple emails, multiple Google links, reminders. I have no idea why yours did not go out. I asked multiple people if they had that issue after the fact to make sure that it wasn't something systematic. You were not singled out. I have absolutely loved working with Shelly on the SOPs and enjoyed her input, and the ones that she has created are absolutely fantastic. It is not personal in any way, shape, or size or form. It was literally just a blip in technology. It was not anything directed towards you. And I deeply apologize that it did not get to you in time. It was not personal.
Okay. Anybody?
Samantha, Shelly asked if you would start posting it on your Facebook page.
Yes.
The MMBA stuff.
Yes,
we do have quite a few emails. We have our personal, plus we've got a work one, and then we've got our work ones that we do our daily jobs from. But just something where it's readily available, because we don't have a problem working with anybody. Shelly's worked on those SOPs like crazy. And it just, and I have no hate for anybody in this group, or either way. But when we want information or something, not always waiting until a meeting is ideal either. So.
See, this is a conversation that I absolutely welcome to from anybody. If anybody ever wants to email me, call me, or reach out, I'll drop my personal phone number in the chat as soon as I can get in there and do that out of this screen that I'm in. I have no problem with that. I would love to hear what we are not doing, what voids we can fill, what we can help with, any concerns. Like I said, whenever you told me that day while I was sitting there that you got it an hour before, I reached out to quite a few people to make sure that it was just a single issue and not a blanket issue. Not a lot of people were able to make it to Springfield. So us as a board sat down and we decided we're going to adjust our board meetings to, or we're not even going to call them board meetings. They're just going to be meetups, networking events that coincide. So the ones that would be like on a separate day, because not everybody can afford 2 nights at a hotel. You know, we want to make it to where it's either on the same day or the morning after. So that way it is more accessible to everyone. When we get feedback, we have no problem putting that into motion as best as we can. We just don't get a lot of feedback. And so if you have an issue, you know, anybody across the board, come reach out. If you don't like one of us, reach out. We can at least discuss it. You know, or if you don't like something that we did, or an event didn't go the way, or an email didn't come through, or whatever it may be, like, we are about inclusion. We are about moving this industry forward. We are incredibly passionate about that and unifying everybody and not creating division in multiple outlets and stuff. Like, we want to work with everybody we can, so that way we can be a unified voice.
Sure, right on. Does anybody want to have anything? We've spent a lot of community involvement time talking about my thoughts on forming a new group. Does anybody have anything else they want to bring to the group before we're almost out of our regularly scheduled time? We can go long, it's no problem. Anybody have anything else? I'd love to talk about my recent vow renewals and how amazing that was in Las Vegas. And I hope everybody got a chance to look at that on my Facebook page. It was a lot of fun. We have to do that again next year. So anybody who wants to participate, maybe we'll do it again next year.
David, you got tattoo.
Oh yeah, the tattoo. Yeah, my wife and I got matching tattoos. That was fun. At Planet 13, Coolsville. Did anybody, we can go back to this group thing here in just a minute, but did anybody see the video, my interview with Madman Planet at the BizCon event? Anybody seen that? I know Bridgette saw it. She said it was amazing. So what'd you think, Luis?
You killed it. Good job explaining everything.
Yeah, I thought it went well too.
Nice jacket too. I like that.
Thanks. Yeah, everybody, we used to do this and I kind of got away from doing this. Everybody who's interested in networking or connecting, please post your information in the chat. Put your name, telephone number, email address, whatever you're comfortable sharing in there. That used to kind of be the first 15, 20 minutes of my calls back in the day. It was just the networking portion was what everybody liked. Now everybody seems to like the guests and the community involvement time. If anybody has ideas for guests for future calls, please let me know. If you would like to be a guest on a future call, please let me know. If you would like to be a co-host on a future call, please let me know. I would welcome all those things. So before we get back to the previous talk of it, anybody have anything? Everybody's probably sick of listening to me talk by now already, I'm sure. Okay, we can circle back to that. For whatever we don't settle or resolve on tonight's call, we can circle back for another call on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. So let's see who shows up. Maybe only people who object will show up and nobody really will support my idea. You know, so maybe people offline are just full of hot air and nobody really wants to do anything. We'll see. We'll find out at 7. So does anybody have anything else, any comments that they want to make about my thoughts on forming a club? Anyone?
I wanted to segue to something different, if you don't mind for a second.
Sure, as long as it's not a commercial for the Missouri Microbusiness Association.
Nope, not at all. I
Okay.
have been talking to a few different reporters who are looking for anybody who is close to or requested commencement. I know there's not a whole lot of people that they would like to do interviews. So if you would like to, I drop my email and my phone number. Please shoot me a message and I will get that to those individuals and we can discuss which source you want it to go to so that way you're comfortable. Some are more conscientious of your privacy versus others, so I can get you connected to whatever works best. And if you haven't had an opportunity to, please check out the article on Jamie in Evolution magazine.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, Keegan has something. What do you got, Keegan?
I will be requesting compliance within 30 days.
Okay, I will reach out to you and get your information and figure out which magazine or company would work best for you and get your information out to them. I'd love to see your history and what you're doing.
Thank you.
That would be cool. Amazing. Awesome. Okay. So anybody have any last minute stuff? Anybody thoughts, concerns, questions? Okay. All right, we'll table this then till next week unless I see you on Wednesday's call about possibly forming a new group that will serve the micro business community, maybe not just in Missouri, but nationally. And we'll also do some political action stuff, which I am very excited about. So if you're interested in being a part of a new group or showing up to voice your objections, that's okay too. So we'll see everybody on Wednesday. You can look forward to seeing an email about that Wednesday meeting from me. Maybe I'll try and do that tonight to give people as much a chance to participate as possible. And of course, next week's meetings, I'll send something out about that. And also, I'll try to get this meeting uploaded to YouTube, so anybody wants to review can do that as always. So thanks everybody so much for your attendance. It was a great call. I really appreciate the guests and all the participants. Thank everybody so much for being here.
Thanks, David.
Good night, everyone.